welcome back to Cast Me to Hell with me, Seb.
And me, Robbie.
And we continue from just coming out of our Body Snatcher season. We are now a little bit with our sci-fi. We decided to end that whole kind of sci-fi season with a little sci-fi horror recommendations. I made it through that. It sounded pristine, but I was on my brain was going, I'm going to fuck this up. So I'm just telling you, the audience. So that's why. If you're like, what's he on about? My brains just wanted to fuck me then.
You were anticipating
like a parasitic slug that fucks you in the brain. That's what mine wanted to do to me right there.
Yeah, it got you. It got you. Taking this season to heart.
Yes. So the horror sci-fi recommendation. So basically, I don't know, whenever we do these, we always have to be like, we may have thought of these in different ways, because it was at one point maybe favourite, or those things like that. For me, I decided, because we've done quite a lot of like sci-fi-ish horror recently, I guess. We've covered quite ones. I think there are some very classic ones out there. So I don't know, you might have gone more for like your favourites, or the ones that are the ones you really want to recommend. My brain went more towards like, we've already mentioned a lot of these kind of my favourites have probably already been done on our podcast. Yeah. So I thought I'd go for certain that maybe ones that haven't been covered on our podcast yet. So I went slightly different, but you might have gone more like straightforward. I don't know.
I've gone for some that are, that are my favourites, but ones that we haven't mentioned.
Okay.
So kind of some underrated ones, I guess I would say. If somebody's looking for like some sci-fi recommendations, then these are the ones that I'd recommend. I think they're all, two of them are very fun films. One of them's not really fun, but it's a masterpiece of sci-fi filmmaking, I think. I will, before we get into it, I will remind them to hit that subscribe button, leave us a lovely review. We've just finished our Body Snatcher season, so go check that out. We've got another fun season coming up for you. I'm sure you're eager to find out what it is, and the best way is to hit that subscribe button so the episodes are on your devices as soon as they're released. Yes. I'll let you kick us off. Let's see what we're
as you say, it sounds like we've kind of, I think, similar-ish kind of way that we've thought about this, maybe.
Who knows?
So we may have avoided some of those bigger ones. I'm going to start off with a Vin Diesel
Triple X
based one. That classic horror sci-fi.
Classic sci-fi
Triple X. Yeah, that's the one. Pitch Black.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these films went, they became like a Vin Diesel franchise when it never felt like it was ever meant to be that in the original film. This was, I remember watching when I was a kid. I think my dad had a copy of it. It's one of those classics 2000 ones. I remember this kind of like one of the early DVDs ever like released kind of thing between that 1999 to 2000 when we first had DVD players popping up. And there were those, I remember this being one of the first like DVDs my dad had. It was probably like this, American Pie, and Blair Witch Project or something like that.
I remember renting this from our local video shop on VHS and watching it at a family movie night. And there's a certain moment that's just ingrained in my brain.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like everyone basically, that's a Vin Diesel thing. When Vin Diesel is a kind of badass character in this, but he is not the main character at all. Like looking back at this, like Vin Diesel is probably one of the main actors you actually recognise in this film, because it was made up of quite a lot of sci-fi ones from like TV shows and stuff like that. Like it wasn't like a major thing, but this whole idea of basically that they are stuck on this alien planet meant to be transporting basically people who are like meant to be going to a prison in another state, and suddenly they're stuck on this planet which has like undefined periods of pure darkness, and then suddenly there are these creatures that begin to appear. Yeah, it's such a kind of cool idea for a closed off little sci-fi kind of just keeping it into that very like, doesn't have to be like mega budget, because they can use the darkness to great effect. It does have like early signs of CGI and stuff in there. This is purely based on Love Thing. I have not revisited this film. So I don't know. I'm recommending this based on my own old thing, but I have not revisited this recently. I revisited a few years ago, but things change in your mind. You look at things at one point in time and you think, that looks still good. And then you revisit again. Like, there are films that I've watched within like only a few years apart. And I think it's just because of the way technology changes that your eyesight just goes from like, fucking hell, that looks right. And then suddenly you look at it. No, it doesn't.
That's awful.
That's awful. Like, those weird creatures, triangular nosed, like weird pterodactyl in some scenes looking creatures might suddenly look like fucking weird blobs on the screen. Like,
I don't remember pretty much anything about this film. I don't remember what the aliens are. What I do remember, and this is the scene that's in my brain. So slight spoilers for a film that maybe came out in 1999. I'm not going to give
it is a film, yeah. It's a 2000 film. But...
And you haven't watched in 26 years.
Yes.
Is some little boy getting split. And I say little boy, I think he's about 10. Still a little boy. Unfortunately, I'm now at the age where anybody kind of under 21 is now still a little boy. And he's walking around with his lighter. And then he drops it, and the lighter goes out, and these things swarm him. That's the bit that I remember being like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
Apart from that, nothing.
I mean, the main thing with this within the sci-fi thing, because I guess as recommendations, I've gone into this with the idea I don't want to give like tons away from it. Kind of thing. That's a cool scene, but that's not the whole of the scene plays out, because we have some of the more, as I said, recognisable thing. We've got Vin Diesel. We've got Keith David, who you might like, well-known actor.
Yeah.
You've got Radha Mitchell, known for some more horror kind of ones like Silent Hill that we did, the original Silent Hill. So she's known for some kind of parts of those. But I think the main part of this is it is one of those kind of like they're stuck on this planet, and obviously one by one they start to get taken out. It's got that classic, like, enjoyable kind of sci-fi feeling of it, like anything going back to classic sci-fi ones like Predator or something like that, or Alien, where one by one. But there's something about this one which is really about the way that the visuals of the darkness is used. You've got Vin Diesel's character Riddick, who I only know because of the terrible sequels, and I don't think I've even ever fully watched. I think I've seen parts of them and been like, "Fuck that."
There's like one sequel.
No, there was Chronicles of Riddick.
I remember that one.
Which was like, we made this. What was it? This 23 million budget film, and it made 53 million. Well, we're going to follow that up by making like some massive. Vin Diesel's pretty popular now, isn't it? So we're going to make like $150 million sci-fi film about how Riddick is part of this planet. We're going to have Judi Dench in it. It's going to be fucking stacked. We're going to have huge visuals.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be amazing. And then it was like, who the fuck asked for that?
Based
on Pitch Black. Like a low sci-fi horror film where Vin Diesel plays a guy that's meant to be going off to a prison who can kind of see more in the dark and has those glowing eyes. Suddenly we want to know the whole rich backstory of this character on this amazing planet, and then I believe he had another sequel called just Riddick, I think it was. I've never seen that film.
Ridiculous.
I've never watched either of those ones, but he's Vin Diesel was just like, I was once in a film in 2000s, like fantastic for him. Luckily for him, the reimagining the Fast and Furious franchise worked out for him, whereas the Triple X, and he had like three. He had Fast and Furious, Pitch Black, and Triple X. He tried to continue Triple X, and Ice Cube replaced it for the second one. And then he came back for the third one, and it didn't do amazingly. It wasn't great. And then he tried to turn Riddick into this amazing big sci-fi like thing, and people were like, "Nah, the first one was alright. It was like a horror film, right? Like this one's just like." I didn't want to see you like in the golden palaces of some weird futuristic place.
Where the fuck did Vin Diesel even come from? I swear
he came from the Planet Family.
He came from the Planet Family. Like I swear,
he drove through space on his Mustang.
I swear,
and he landed.
Appeared in Pitch Black. No, apparently he was in Saving Private Ryan.
Yes, he was in Saving Private Ryan.
Oh, okay. And then Iron Giant, he voiced.
He was the voice of the Iron Giant.
He was the voice of the Iron Giant. He just spawned.
But he did. He just spawned. He just spawned at the end of the 90s.
Yeah.
And since then, it's been trouble to get him to go away.
Yeah.
And I don't mind a bit of Vin Diesel, but in his own ballhouse, he ain't changing worlds. He's not an actor who's like and the Oscar goes to Vin Diesel.
The Oscar goes to Vin Diesel. Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway. Pitch Black is a solid sci-fi horror, little bit of fun. If you like that classic, this is probably one of the most fun ones. It's got an amazing use of darkness in the film. It's got some quite cool action scenes. It has some twists and turns that you don't see coming, like Rob mentioned with the child. Yeah. But it also has other characters who maybe you don't expect to see going. It does play with you quite well in the film. It is a fun little watch. I haven't seen the last few years, so I will say that if you look at it and go, what the fuck's happened to this? Yeah. It's turned into shit. But from the last time I remember it, it was like that. I'm going off this one pure off nostalgia. Yeah. That's my first one, Pitch Black.
Okay. My first one has actually been mentioned in our Body Snatcher season.
Well, it's not allowed.
There you go.
You broke the rules. That's it. The rules that were non-existent before this 10 minutes earlier.
Go listen to the episode.
Yeah.
And that is The Stuff.
The Stuff. I mentioned that in the last one. Yes,
you mentioned that in our Sliver episode.
I did.
The Stuff, I mean, it's very heavy with its kind of themes and messages. It's very anti-consumerism, anti-Reganomics kind of vibe. But it's such like a fun film.
Yeah.
The premise of it is kind of very simple. These people discover this weird food called The Stuff. And it's got quite an interesting story in that this really kind of off-kilter, strange... He almost reminds me a little bit of like Benoit Blanc, from the...
Benoit Blanc.
I
recognise that name.
Yeah.
I'm blanking. I'm
blanking. It was in Glass Onion.
Knives Out. Daniel
films.
Craig.
Daniel Craig,
Knives Out films. Yeah. I was like, Benoit Blanc. That sounds very familiar.
Yeah. He's this kind of like southern, slightly eccentric, weird character who's this industrial spy, which is an odd main character to have. Talking about body snatchers. You had the food inspector in Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Now you've got an industrial spy, and he's sent by these rival companies to investigate The Stuff. And it's
when you think of food hygiene, one would make way more sense this time.
Yeah, when you think of food,
but maybe this guy would have made more sense in Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Well, but thematically, you're talking about kind of anti-consumerism, so it makes sense to be like, well, why isn't the hero of this, or like the supposed hero, like who is generally supposed to be kind of like a bad person, somebody who's into industrial espionage, So like I said, it's very heavy with its themes, but it's a fun film to watch, you know. Like
I can't remember if I've actually fully seen this film.
Maybe.
I know I went to watch it. I remember parts of this, but I don't remember all of it, and I don't remember that character. So I'm thinking I must have only watched a bit of it.
Yeah.
I don't think I've fully watched it, because I've seen this pop up so many times. This is such a cult horror kind of sci-fi cult horror film. I've seen images where the white stuff coming out of some like guy who's like literally.
No, I mean, are you sure you watched this film?
I might just
that happens in a lot of other films. Like, white stuff does.
This is specifically though it coming out of a man's. Well, basically his face being split in half as it comes out of his throat, basically. Or maybe it's going in. I can't remember.
It sounds like porn again.
Going in, going out.
Like porn again.
Yeah, I might just watch porn.
Yeah, you might just be watching gay porn.
I probably, I just put this on in the background, and then instead I was probably just watching porn on my phone. There you go.
Well,
that's what happens.
When we did the Thanksgiving episode, I searched Thanksgiving and then was greeted with some porn. So it happens, it happens. Obviously, I watched Thanksgiving after beating off.
And of course, you did that plenty.
Did that plenty. But yeah, it's a super fun film.
Yeah.
It does have all the hallmarks of a cult 80s classic. You've got wooden acting, but in a charm. You've got some dodgy effects at certain moments, but it kind of adds to the charm. And a generally
weird concept.
And the very weird concept, but it adds to the charm. It's a super fun film. It's worth checking out as well, especially if you want to watch some kind of cult sci-fi horror. So The Stuff is my first recommendation.
There we go. Nice little extra recommendation there.
The Stuff. Enough is never enough.
Enough is never enough. So my next one is going a little bit more. So first one was 2000. I am not going before 2000s. Apparently, this one's a bit more of a modern one. but one I feel kind of underperformed, and I think I've seen some people who've seen it and some people who just barely knew it existed. This is Life.
Okay.
2017, Jake Gyllenhaal, Ryan Reynolds, and Rebecca Ferguson.
Yeah.
I saw this one in the cinema, and I really enjoyed it. It had real. It has some. It's obviously got, you know, it is an alien style, you know, kind of horror. It's got some things where some people said, this kind of one would have worked as either an Alien or like a Cloverfield kind of like prequel kind of thing. It has a kind of like, you know, because it has an ending that kind of leaves it up to a kind of what happens next. But generally, I mean, it's got 3 good actors, 3 very modern actors. I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal for one of them, and Rebecca Ferguson, both of them, I think, are 2 of the best male and female actors working right now.
Yeah, good actors.
And Ryan Reynolds in a role that isn't necessarily like... Ryan Reynolds does just play Ryan Reynolds in this role, as he often does. But, you know, you don't often get... I don't want to say spoilers, but you don't often get, you know, some of the stuff that happens to Ryan Reynolds in this film is a bit different. I don't know. Have you seen this one?
No, but I did very much hear when it came out that it was a lot of people kind of detracted from it, that it was very derivative of Alien.
It definitely has some of those elements in it. But I don't know. I think one. I mean, to be honest, if I was looking at both of them, I would almost say, like, for you, for instance, someone who kind of. There are certain things you don't enjoy about it. I would say that I think you would enjoy this film.
Maybe.
The derivative film, maybe, but you might enjoy this film because it's a little bit more fast-paced. It has an interesting way. The alien life form has a very interesting way of showing itself. Okay. And it also has some there are some quite graphic body horror scenes in this.
Okay.
Like, it has some quite, like, I mean, maybe it's more tame than I slightly kind of got there in my brain, but I do remember some scenes of certain characters getting literally, like, where we're talking, like, interacting with body and their bones literally snapping and breaking and being broken apart kind of thing, which might not be, like, as visual graphic, but there was something about the noise and the sound that really made me go, fuck, like, it's not Alien in that sense. It's not. This is a creature that, like, basically, like, wraps around things and causes it to snap and break, and bodies are completely fucked, and in it plays with your expectations of who's living, who's dying, who's doing things in this film. I thought it was quite clever in its approach. I liked seeing all the actors in these certain kind of roles. It was generally just I just remember it being quite a breezy kind of. It flew by quickly. Yeah. But I remember thinking, this is quite fun for a genre. Let's be honest, is quite often defined though. Like, saying things are derivative of things like Alien, but what's the problem with that? Like, Alien has almost like it cornered the market of some of that stuff at times. You know, because Predator is its own style and its own thing, but a lot of these Alien films are cornered by that, and I felt like you don't get to see that many, because people always say, oh, well, it's just Alien. Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean people can't do them in different ways and have a bit of fun with them. Yeah, this is still like a contained in one spaceship, because how the fuck else do you have an alien appear in space and not, you know, you either have it on a planet, so, you know, bit more Predator that's hunting you, or a creature, or many other sci-fi or whatever the fuck Avatar, or you have it where you're stuck on a space station because fuck okay, but then the second you do that, it's just Alien. But it doesn't mean you can't do it in different ways and have different reasoning behind it. And generally, I just think I just remember it being a fun kind of one. You're guessing till the end what's going to happen. It gets to the point where, you know, it has a kind of a twist on the ending where you do be like, oh, this could have set up almost another franchise kind of thing. But you're wondering where this would go next kind of thing. I don't think it fully was like a massive hit at the box office, so I think it kind of it did alright, but not. It was made for a fair budget, to be fair, 58 million, and it made 100 at the box office, so not really enough to make it. Yeah. But not enough to probably push it to be like, we've got a new franchise here, sci-fi franchise. But also, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, how often do you get a sci-fi horror when you've got actors like Jake Gyllenhaal and Rebecca Ferguson and Ryan Reynolds willing to be like, and there are other actors in there as well, but when you get that chance to have those actors do it, like, not many actors are drawn to like sci-fi horrors in modern times kind of thing. So it felt refreshing just having that kind of a cast in this kind of film where most of the time, like, they can make pretty okay stuff. I mean, jumping around it, but that's pretty much my second recommendation. Life, I'd give it a go. 2017. If you've avoided it because of Alien, it's kind of Alien, but it's still fun.
Yeah.
And for Rob, I'd say it's more fun than Alien.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it.
But it's not quite Aliens.
No, well,
it's not about that.
No, I'm gonna try it, man. And this leads me on to my second film, which does have an actor that you have previously mentioned in this episode, and that is it's a John Carpenter film, and I'm going to leave it to you to guess. John Carpenter sci-fi with an actor that we've mentioned.
It's Ghost of Mars.
No.
It's Ice Cube.
No, I was thinking.
I was like, why the fuck would you do Ghost of Mars? Why would that be on your recommendation list? But I just thought, fuck it. Like, I've mentioned Ice Cube, so I'm going to say, everyone listening, well, there's probably some people out there like, that's a fucking masterpiece, but no.
Yeah, it's unfortunately not.
It's not.
I was going to go with a Ghost of Mars joke. I did watch it. A little while ago, and there were some moments that I thought were cool, but there was also a lot of moments where I thought, John,
it's John cheesy as fuck.
Daddy's trousers are falling down,
Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
Keith David.
Keith David.
They Live.
They Live.
Which is...
I knew you were going to do They Live. I didn't do They Live because I knew you were going to do They Live. I forgot Keith David was in that film. That's why. I forgot he's like the side. I was like, I haven't mentioned Rowdy Roddy Piper. They Live. Yeah, I was going to say. I was thinking that. Yeah.
Another cult classic. It's just... again, it's very anti-consumerism. Does, take a slight Reganomics, that whole consumerist America vibe. But I feel like it's such an underrated film. A lot of people do love it. But
a lot of people write. I feel this film probably got written off by a lot of people because of Rowdy Roddy,
which is odd because I know he was a big wrestler rip in the WWF, WWE, but he always showed himself to be like a good, capable actor.
Yeah, I think it was ruined at a time. You've had different eras of wrestling actors doing films, and I think this was in the era of when you had like Hulk Hogan.
The Hulkster.
Hulkster ruined it. I'm not gonna. I think he ruined it for Rowdy Roddy, to be honest, because Hulkster, he did many sci-fi roles he did a sci-fi role and he did many other movie roles and stuff like that. But generally, it was conceded you can't act for shit.
No,
but his credit. Where people paid money to go and see Hulk Hogan, who was the bigger, he was the big.
He was the big.
Like people paid to go and that was shit.
That was awful.
So I think that then has a detrimental. It's the same with when Dwayne Johnson and then you got a million other actors start to do it as well. Like you had like Stone Cold doing one and things like that. I was about to say John Cena, but to be honest, John Cena's better than Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
So and Dave Bautista's also better than Dave Johnson. Yeah. Dave Bautista's shown himself to be a fantastic actor as well.
Yeah.
So some of them work out really well, but then you've also got ones like Triple H who did films and things like that, and you look at it and go, "What the fuck was that?"
Randy Orton. You know what I mean? Go on, mate.
Like some of them just can't do it, but. Again, they just do it because money, innit?
Money, WWE studios.
But I think when it was the 80s and 90s and you had a bunch of wrestlers and stars making these kind of commercial poppy movies, I think it ruined it for the ones that actually were like, no, he was actually a good actor.
Well, yeah.
It let it down for the rest of... But then at the same time, in this film, to be fair, he is also meant to be playing up the whole, like... He's meant to be a little bit cartoony, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of the point. He's meant to be, like, almost this bravissimo... Like, is the way he's coming across, which, whereas it's not quite as nuanced. I think he did some other performances where people were like, that's a really good, he's actually a really good just actor, whereas this one he was meant to be playing up to it, isn't he?
Yeah.
Because it is meant to be somewhat ridiculous in that kind of playing with the commercialism part of it.
Yeah, and I think he is great in it, and he got the iconic line, I came here to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum. Mm-hmm. But I love the vibe of it. I feel like the soundtrack is great, and it has this whole it makes you feel paranoid. It's a weird soundtrack. I was walking through town today and I was listening to it and I was like, it does make you feel as if there are aliens around you, as if they're here,
taking over. Yeah. So in the last episode we mentioned that it was the end of our Body Snatcher season, but now we just remembered They Live, so we're going to go back and do it again. We're going to go back and do it again. I can't remember. We've definitely talked about They Live before.
We've spoken
we haven't
about
done
it.
an episode,
we haven't done
have we?
No, we haven't done it yet.
But I love the way, the way they're shown with, like, not just them, but the way he sees the whole world with the glasses. Like, you get advertisements, you even get billboards and stuff like that, and it all just, like, changes. And just the general look of that weird, like, eye bobble kind of way that they look is just, like, really
skin,
cool. Yeah.
Weird. And I feel like the Obey billboard, I feel like you see that on so many T-shirts, and you see it so often, and it's so odd that nobody ever goes, that's from They Live. That's Carpenter. Everybody just thinks it's kind of like a weird Nike kind of like rip-off thing.
Yes, this is a much better Carpenter film than the one I guessed at.
Yes. Yeah, this is still Carpenter.
But this is still underrated. Like, this is still an underrated cut. Like, forgotten about one. Whereas one there's a reason it was forgotten about. I would say. Whereas this one sadly kind of fell in the kind of like wasn't quite like not for general horror and movie, like this has become an iconic film, but for general audiences this became a very like quick forgotten kind of film.
Because I think it was a bomb as well, I don't think it did. I think considering it was a box office bomb, and it did probably contribute to Carpenter's not getting quite the funding that he wanted anymore. I feel like the cultural significance of this film, it can't be understated. No. It has lived on so much more, seeing as how it was like 40 years ago. It's still present today.
And just the general way to show that they again, like the stuff you said before, but like this one in a bigger way, the way that they were able to show this kind of way of showing things at the time like Soviet Union and all that kind of stuff, and being able to peer through that in kind of an action-y kind of horror way, but to show it off in like a really clever way, and just the visual way that they show off all the changes in this film and the things that are going on, it's really clever. It is Carpenter at some of his like best visuals, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
And the fact I forgot that Keith David's in this one, he makes a really cool kind of. He is the side man kind of to Rowdy Roddy, but like he does like I forget. Keith David is one of those actors that is continuously almost like forgotten as a character actor.
Yeah.
Like, even though he has been around for so long, doing it for so long, and generally like always gives a great performance, whether it's this, but as an action kind of role, but also as a comedic role as well, like those different elements. Like he always gets forgotten about.
Well, I
forgot him.
You forgot him. And I always have the same thing that I have with like Tom Atkins, Morgan Freeman, a couple of other actors, Hulk Hogan, even if we're talking about the Hulkster, where I always feel like they've been 60 years old, So I always feel like
Keith David has been the same age forever.
So I always forget the handsome young man he was when he was in The Thing, when he was in They Live, that. So whenever I see him, I'm like, who is that? And then I Google and I'm like, oh, it's a young Keith David. It's strange how
that is like the amount of iconic films that he's actually been in. He's been in a ton, but the amount of people that if you went up to them, like, do you know who this is? They'd probably be like, oh, no, I don't know.
And he's great,
Yeah,
he's great. I think the whole film is just good. I feel like you have to also get some of like Carpenter's sensibilities as well. Like the first time I watched it, that fight scene that just dragged on for about 5 minutes, I was thinking, like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck is this? You just keep expecting it to end, and all he's trying to do is get him to put some glasses on. And I think if like a random like construction worker came up to me and tried to get me to put glasses on, I would be fighting him for like 5 minutes.
What the fuck are you on about?
So it's good. It's just it's a great film. It's got some good fun themes to it. It's an easy film to watch. Super good soundtrack. It's one of those films that I would recommend people putting on their list and just cracking on with it. Really, crack on. Just crack off to it. Keith David's handsome. If
that's your choice.
If you're into it, you can crack off to it as well. So I'll hand over for your final one. Before we do, remember, hit that subscribe button. We got another great season coming up for you. Over to you, Epa.
Okay. I was just I always change my mind at last minute on film, so I'm
do, don't you?
I do. I always change my mind, but I've decided to stick with basically. I said I've gone from 2000 onwards. I was about to jump back to the 80s, but I've decided I'm not going to jump back to the 80s.
Okay.
I'm gonna stick with the more modern kind of ones, and I'm actually going to go for one that's a bit more kind of I don't know, like the other ones I did were quite like fun, kind of like of their time kind of thing. This one's a bit more of a dramatic, a bit more people may not have seen it, they may have heard of it, but probably never watched it because it's quite a slow kind of film. It's Under the Skin. It's with Scarlett Johansson. It's a sci-fi horror. I don't know if you've seen.
No, I'm thinking of a different film with Antonio Banderas.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a Pedro Almodovar film.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the same kind of thing. This is like a science fiction film from 2013, directed by Jonathan Glazer, and this is much more of your like indie slow kind of different kind of one. It's got Scarlett Johansson basically is a extraterrestrial female who is hidden from human, who kind of preys on lonely men, and you kind of, it's a very kind of slow. It is a quite a slow build kind of film, but it also features one of the more looked at parts of it is that it features an actor who has a Adam Pearson, who has a deformity,
What was he
a facial
recently?
deformity. He was in a film with Sebastian Stan.
Yeah, he was.
It's a something man. I can't remember what it.
Did he win?
I could probably
awards
find.
for it?
A different man. Sorry,
A different man.
a different man. Basically, yeah, where he played Sebastian Stan. I think in that film played after he'd had surgery to change his form back. He became this guy, but it didn't make him a better person. It made him a worse person. That was kind of a dark comedy horror thriller kind of thing as well. So as the actor Adam Pearson,
I've seen that.
just
I don't think
show you.
I don't think I've ever seen a film that he's in though.
Yeah, I mean this one it has a scene with him in it, and it's quite an uncomfortable part of the film when he's in it. To be fair, because it has this where she is digging onto lonely kind of people, but it has a kind of balance about how this extraterrestrial person, the way she's playing it is very kind of subdued. She's very kind of like, she feels like a predator waiting around for prey. But it's also like it's a kind of a beautiful woman who's kind of allowing people, and then she's seeing the different types of society. It is set more in UK and Scotland, kind of around the UK areas, the UK. So you get this perspective of her, like kind of, you see all different types of life of different types of males that are given the male gaze towards her. It's a really interesting film. I'm not saying it's a fun film. Like it's like that. It's one of those ones where you'll be like, that's interesting. It has some really interesting visuals, especially when it has a scene actually with Adam Pearson and Scarlett Johansson where it has her. She's naked in it, so and suddenly certain people at home are like, okay, I'll do that then. So it shows this in like completely dark room where you get to see both people, like her and someone else, her and the Adam Pearson character, like basically nude, like looking at each other in this weird way. And it's also got this existential part about how, as in someone from outside of our world, how they would see us in Demas and how they see different people. So it has deformity, it has the male gaze, it has the way that we look in society, the way we treat women in society is this like, but she's also there to basically kill men, to kill people to live kind of thing. But it mainly goes towards men because that's, you know, if she's the predator, the men are coming after Scarlett Johansson. You know what I mean? It's like that. That's it. So they're going to leer towards her. So she's chosen this kind of form in order to lure them in. It's really interesting. But it is a slow burn and it's quite dark. For what it is, but just thought I'd go for something a bit more artsy with that one.
Interesting.
I wanted to go that one away from my 80s one, which I'll mention what my other choice was, but I'll let you go with yours because so far you've been on an 80s.
I have.
You love a bit of 80s
I
horror,
do.
so so that is Under the Skin is my final choice.
What was going to be your other one? You didn't say.
Oh, well, Videodrome.
Videodrome, yeah.
But I couldn't remember if we've done Videodrome.
No, we haven't. And would you say it's sci-fi?
Yeah, I mean, it has the element with the technology that's in part of it. I feel like sci-fi horror is quite easy to find. Like, if it's got a scientist in a lab, I can say it's sci-fi horror. I can say 28 Days Later is a sci-fi horror because it's got about a disease that's made in a lab. But Videodrome does have that technological part mixed in with the thing, which I think is what makes it technology meets body horror, which I would put as a sci-fi horror.
Fair enough.
I think I think if I would go on that, I think I would. Let's see, a little look. Videodrome is a science fiction body horror.
Ah, there you go.
Canadian science fiction body horror.
Canadian.
So be kind to you while it kills you.
Canadian.
I did have other choices, but I'll let you get to your final choice first.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've kind of followed suit. I've gone for two that are quite fun, very 80s. Relatively easy watches, and I've switched gears for something much more modern, much darker, and rather thematically heavy, and that is Mad God. Which yeah. I haven't seen this. No, which is a Phil Tippett's production. Took 30 years for him to make it because it's all stop motion, and it's a wild ride. It kind of looks at this dystopian world. It follows a character that's just kind of known as the assassin.
I'm just Googling as you're talking just to make sure. Yeah, I am thinking about the right one.
Yeah, it's kind of like
I meant to check
stop motion weird world, and he's basically descending down from the heavens or from somewhere effectively to kind of destroy the world and have it do a do-over. And it's about the journey. There's no dialogue in it. It's all kind of what you're supposed to interpret from watching it. So looking at lots of weird stuff that happens in it. You've got all these strange creatures. All of this weird kind of borderline torture porn stuff. You've got like strange subcultures and fauna and all this weird stuff.
The visuals that I'm looking at on here, because that's the way I haven't seen it, but the visuals are like amazing. I actually didn't know that this was stop motion then, because I'd always seen it like images like in passing kind of thing, so like looking at it I was like, that could be a person in a costume kind of thing. I didn't realise it was all stop motion.
It's all stop motion.
That actually makes me want to watch it more, weirdly, because I like that.
But it's so wild, like it's odd. It's one of those films where you're kind of watching it and it feels so depressive, I don't want to say too much because you're going to watch it, and obviously I want people to watch it.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is how you interpret it as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of up to your own interpretation.
Because I thought it was like a Lovecraftian kind of thing. Because to be honest, in my head, I don't know why, I kept thinking you were going to say something like Colour Out of Space or something. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like Nicolas Cage kind of thing. So I thought that's the way you might be going with one of your more modern ones, as like a weird kind of one. But so I always thought Mad God had a kind of Lovecraftian thing to it, but maybe it does. As I haven't
kind of. Like it's just an odd film, It's the kind of film that I recommend you experience once, and that's the way I put it. It is more of an experience. Like it's uncomfortable, at times. It's creepy. It got me thinking a lot. I was like, what if this stuff fucking happened? Like, would you even want to be alive? Some of the stuff that happens.
Well, it's only like an hour and 24 minutes. So you're not giving that much of your life, so I'll give it a go. Yeah,
give it a go. And quite interesting as well. So after Mad Dog came out, they then did something called
Mad God.
Yeah.
You just said Mad Dog.
Mad Dog.
Well, not to call you out there, but it just made me laugh because Mad Dog.
There is Mad Dog.
There's a different film.
That's the film. Well, I'm sure after Mad God, they did a thing called Mad Log. I'm pretty sure they called it.
Mad Log.
Which was, they've started to do it now with Fallout, and I think Netflix just do it. But when around Christmas, you can just have like a log.
Oh, right, yeah.
They did one, and I'm sure it was called Mad Log, and it was just these creatures like burning wood, and you would just have it on in the background, and I was like, I don't know if this is how is this somebody's comfort.
Who enjoys that?
Who enjoys this? Like there's one scene.
They have it for like so many figures now. Those weird log ones. Like they've had like Simpsons ones.
I get Simpsons.
They've had Frozen ones.
I get
like
Frozen.
Disney's Frozen. I think they even had a Bridgerton one at Christmas. Or
I get that.
But every once in a while, you just hear someone just making Victorian sex.
Yeah, I get that. But
this one is just like who wants like screaming in the background of your
like they're these creatures. And I don't know if they're made of shit or not. I don't know what they're made of. that are like screwed into seats being electrocuted, and it doesn't explain it. It just happens, and you're like, oh, okay, what's this? You know, like
how long did you say it took him to make?
30 years.
Do you think it was well spent?
Probably, yeah. I watched it.
It got people talking. Yeah.
I was like, that's an instant 5-star.
Yeah.
You know? I do feel like it's one of those things where like you make it. What do you do for the next 30 years?
Yeah,
you know, like.
When you spent that long doing something, it's like, what do I do now?
What do I do now? Would I even be like? Am I like George R.R. Martin? Like I'm going to die before this.
Am I actually going to make this film? Like, is it going to be something where someone's going to like find like part of it when I'm dead?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck was he doing?
But,
or it's just like he lived in his basement and his mum just said he just liked to play with toys in the basement.
Yeah.
That's who those people are. Those people that you talk about and say, he's a loser. He lives in his mum's basement. He just plays with toys and everything. He's making great films.
He's making mad.
You just don't understand it yet. One day you will.
One day, in 30 years, you'll understand it when you watch it.
When no one probably watches it.
When no one watches it.
When a very minute population of the whole world population actually watches this film, they'll understand. It probably won't be you because you're probably banging a chick.
Yeah, you're too busy having sex and making money and having a good life. You know, dying with your loved ones around you. That's probably.
But they're committed.
They're committed. They're making art.
That's true horror fan.
That's true. But yeah, I'd recommend it. It's a great film. It's a great experience. If you're interested in like dystopian stuff and particularly kind of like visual storytelling.
Yeah.
You know, you like seeing things and making your own stories around it, trying to interpret stuff. I definitely recommend it. It's a very fucking weird film.
Oh, definitely good. I love it, especially like stop motion and stuff like that. I think those uses of like animation and horror and stuff, or stop motion and things like that in horror and stuff has always kind of looked like, in general, the people just don't watch some of these, and that's not just horror, that's across the board. Like, if it's like an adult stop motion or an adult animated, people are like, well, no, that's stuff you do for kids. But some of the best some of the best films I've seen are literally like in those kind of stop motion or animation styles that are for adults.
Yeah, Wallace and Gromit, the wrong trousers. You know.
Yeah,
this is like if Wallace and Gromit got addicted to heroin and listening to really sad music and developed schizophrenia. That's the way I would describe this, you know?
Yeah.
Definitely worth checking out.
There's talking about stop motion, just general films, there's a film that starred Toni Collette and Philip Seymour Hoffman called Mary and Max. It's not a horror film.
Yeah.
But it's a stop motion one, literally about like an old man who basically has letters with a young girl. That sounds really inappropriate.
Yeah.
But it's actually like a beautiful film, but literally it's on like most lists of like the best films ever made, but also on lists of like, basically, this is a film that you'll love, but no one's basically ever seen it. Because I don't know anyone else who's ever seen it, but it was on a list of like top 100 films ever made. And that's what I mean like about this with like Man of God is like, people will see some like of the best stuff they've ever seen, but they'll just never give it a go.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
especially when most of those films, because they take so bloody long to make, they're not normally long films, so you're not giving up much of your time to just give it a chance.
Yeah, so I recommend it.
Yeah, I think I'll check one out. Did you have any little ones that were kind of bobbling? Obviously, this is sci-fi horror, and the reason I was like, I'm not so sure about favourite, because most The Thing, Alien, Predator, you know, there's a whole bunch of ones that everybody knows. I was more thinking like ones that popped into my head as like, or a lot of people know them but might not have ever watched them or things like that. Like, because obviously there are millions of great ones. You can look at sci-fi horrors and things like that, but a lot of them are like quite big ones, and then there are like the smaller ones that just seem to get forgotten to time because no one ever saw them, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean the main one that jumped out to me was Cube.
Yeah,
you know, Cube's good. I remember that they made a sequel, and I'm sure they're supposed to be making another one, or they made a prequel. I feel like the original Cube's really good.
Yeah, you've mentioned it before on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm sure I have.
Because I couldn't remember if you'd mentioned the Cell or Cube, because they're both kind of like, but yeah.
They're both, you know, like
sci-fi horror. That's about all I can say.
They're both square-based.
I've not seen either
horror.
of them, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I've not checked those ones out.
What about yourself?
Obviously I said I was considering Videodrome.
Yeah.
I had Sunshine on there, Danny Boyle film. Lots of people see it.
I've seen it now.
It's got Cillian Murphy, Chris Evans, quite a stacked cast.
Yeah.
but a lot of people haven't seen it. It's got one of the most beautiful scores of a film, and beautiful visuals. But it's really weird because for most of the film you'd be like, this isn't a horror film, and then the third act completely, for better or worse. I've never really been able to decide if I think it's a good. It's when like a film that seems like it's not going to be anything like that, and then suddenly in the third act it changes into like a claustrophobic horror film with this kind of like man creature basically, and you're like, what the fuck kind of thing. When most of the film is, I mean, it's one of those things. I remember watching it in the cinema absolutely thinking it's amazing. It does, like, literally, even if you just listen to the soundtrack of the film, it's incredible, but it looks beautiful. But it is a weird, like, in the third act it turns into a horror film. And it's kind of an odd in that. But I would suggest people watch it, even though it is, I will say, I rewatched it like a year ago, and it is I did not remember it being as slow a burn as it is. Really? It is a real slow, like, they're in space, but it doesn't take its time to move things along quickly at all. It's a little bit like equipment, but it does still have some of the most like beautiful imagery, cinematography, and music that I've seen. And the third act, it works really well. It's just weird. It does feel a little bit like a different film in the third act. Yeah, but it's kind of. I think for the most part, most of mine were, apart from that, were mainly, most people have seen Signs. Night Shyamalan is kind of a fun one, but again, third act kind of dropped the ball a bit.
Species. Species is good.
Yeah, that's quite cool.
Alfred Molina getting piped. Lots of great cast in it as well.
Yeah, Companion was a newer one.
Yeah,
it's kind of got a sci-fi element I watched recently. And the last one I had was 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Never watched it.
He's not.
No, he's never into the Cloverfield films.
It's not like the other ones. This one's really good. It again feels a little bit like they've tacked on a Cloverfield film onto the end, basically. But for the most part, it's a really good. John Goodman's performance is fucking incredible.
John Goodman's a dog, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a great film. And Mary, what's her name? Mary. I was going to say
Mary Elizabeth
Winstead. Yeah. Yes, they're both great in that film. It's really good. Like I would say check it out for if you like that kind of like containment kind of film. But yeah, it does turn. It basically it's a Cloverfield film that feels like the end was just like tacked on.
Really,
like a little bit like that bit. Like you're like, oh okay, like as like a twist kind of thing.
Yeah,
like, I know that's ruining the twist, but it's got Cloverfield in the name, so you knew at some point an alien was going to arrive.
Yeah,
in some form. But much better than, I never saw the other one, but there was another one they released like out of blue, like just randomly dropped onto Netflix, which remember the Cloverfield Paradox, I think it was.
Something like that.
But that one apparently was absolutely awful kind of thing. That's why they just dropped it from cinema release and decided, now Netflix, you can just
have it on Netflix.
You can have it, mate. But yeah, I like the first Cloverfield for what it is, but it's of its time. But 10 Cloverfield Lane is a much better film, which almost is just, again, kind of like what I just said with Sunshine is, it's a really good like film, but technically the only thing with 10 Cloverfield Lane is the only thing that makes it a sci-fi film is the ending. Yeah. Otherwise than that, it's not a sci-fi horror. It's just a good horror.
Yeah, if it's tacked on, it's still sci-fi.
It's a great film, but it's not fully sci-fi. But yeah, that's it. That's our ones of recommendation. We've thrown a bunch at you.
Yeah,
you might listen to none of them.
Well, hopefully you listen to some of them. Positive,
you might you might go off and watch every single one of those films. You might have already seen them. Then, you do your part. Tell us about it.
I will. If you have seen any of these films, come and let us know. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at CMTH Podcast. Randomly, I was like, mention the TikTok, but we don't use it. So don't worry about it.
There is a TikTok that is non-existent.
That is non-existent. That's now I just scroll.
It's out there somewhere.
It's out there somewhere. Where are you to find
it? If you like commented on it, or apologise that we never replied to anything on it.
Yeah, we don't do that.
Someone's probably taken it over on some weird.
No, I use it. That's just scrolling. I just use it to watch. Come and find us. Let us know what you think of the films. Remember to hit that subscribe button. We got another fun season coming up for you. And as always, play us out, fellas.